Hey, what's happening, Roland? Well, today is Friday, and it's the time for my update for the week. I've done a lot of traveling this week. In fact, where I am right now, I'm up in northern Minnesota, well, north central Minnesota, around the Park Rapids area. And we're at one of the 200 lakes that are within like 20 or 30 miles of Park Rapids. It's just one of and the state has nice facilities, and it's a great launch ramp. This lake's supposed to have some really big bass in it. I've never fished it. I did fish another lake similar to it not far away from here yesterday, and it was good. I caught some really nice bass. But hey, if you notice what the day is today, this is a rainy, cool day. It's like 60 degrees, and I have this rain gear on. Well, you might say, well, it's not raining. Why do you have rain gear? Well, it keeps me warm, number one, because it's quite cool. But it's supposed to rain. It's going to be a rainy day all day, which is good, because what we have is low light, and that's really, really kind of cool for what I want to do. I love topwater fishing, and it's a frog togs day. It's also a frog day. Let me just show you what kind of a compliment I'm going to try to fish with. Okay, let's just take this frog. This is a Spro bronze eye frog created by Dean Rojas, one of my fishing buddies. And the compliment that I'm throwing it on is a 65-pound test braid. You think that's really heavy? I'm going to be throwing in some heavy stuff, heavy lily pads, heavy reeds, heavy grass of what they call all kind of coontail and all kind of, I don't know, just a lot of heavy weeds. And so for that reason, I have a 7-foot 3-inch. It's a heavy duty, it's extra heavy action rod. It's a favorite rod, it's my favorite. Okay, and with that I have this Solace 8-to-1 ratio reel. Okay, now let me just show you what I'm doing with it. I'm going to come over with the rod. I don't know if I can reach those lily pads right now, but theoretically, that's the kind of place where I'd catch them. I'd catch them in those lily pads. I didn't quite reach it. Anyway, I'm a little too far away. And I'm just kind of walking the dog with that frog, just kind of back and forth. And it's good clear water. And now, there's one problem. There's pike in this place. Big giant pike. And the pike can really mess you up. Pike can cut your lure off. In fact, I went out yesterday and I had 3 or 4 pike hit the frog. And one little old pike who wasn't that big, it jumped up and grabbed the line and cut the line, and I lost a $10 frog. So that's the one problem. I used to have an advertiser by the name of Ron Weber with the Normark people, and he loves pike because he said, Roland, he says, gosh, with these pike in the lake, they cut all the lures off, and we sell a lot more lures. So the lure manufacturers like pike because they cut the lures off all the time. So that's one good compliment. Now there's also another frog that I'm going to use, and that other frog is called a Popper 65, and so that's going to be good. Oh, look at the boat I brought up. This is really cool. This is my bass tracker that I use down at the Headwaters Pond that you see me with all the time. I got the O'Reilly wrap and the Bass Pro Shop deal. Look at the truck as well. It's all wrapped with O'Reilly and Superstart battery, Shell Rotilla, Bass Pro Shop. It's just 100% deal. And the nice thing I like about this rig is this. This engine is a 150 4-stroke, but for some reason the pickup for the water is such a position that I can go through all those reeds out there and not overheat. See, the other boats that I have, say the big 250 Mercuries, will overheat a lot of times in the heavy weeds, but this motor doesn't. And it has a jack plate. You notice this jack plate, a Bob's jack plate, and I can raise it way up high and just idle back through the weeds to those little pockets and stuff that I want to try to fish. Okay, the other thing I have that's really cool is the shallow water anchoring system. This is the power pole system. Now, the last time you saw this boat, or one of the last times, I had the white 8-foot power poles, and they were pretty good. They're nice. But now I got the 10-foot, the big 10-footers, and there's no weed out here. Anytime I'm around weeds, I can easily anchor, and 2 anchors hold you steady and straight a lot better. So that's one compliment. Okay, that's the boat system. Now, there's some other choices I have for fishing today. Okay, we noticed the lily pads and the rice and stuff like that for the frog. That's a big deal. Now, there's one thing that happens whenever I'm frog fishing. I always have a backup deal, and I call it the backup Senko. if I can find a Senko. And the backup Senko is a simple deal, if I can find one. The backup Senko, I can't find my Senko. I don't know where my backup Senko is. Huh, I can't find it. Where is my backup Senko? I don't know, here it is. Here's my backup Senko. Now this is so cool because like yesterday, I threw my frog in on a point of reeds and a nice 3 or 4 pound bass hit, and so I missed it. I threw the Senko in, I caught it. Okay, that was good. Then a little bit later in the afternoon, yesterday afternoon, in another lake, there was a little hole in the lily pads. It was just a beautiful spot, and it was kind of open water. And I threw the frog in there. This big toad of a bass just hit the frog really good. And I picked up the Senko and I just threw it right in there. Boom, he hit it right away. I set the hook and I got 50-pound braid, heavy rod. I set the hook as hard as I could. It's all diving down into the lilies and stuff, and I lost him. He's just a big old fish. Well over 5 pounds. So backup Senkos really, really work. Now, another lure combination that I have that's really going to be a big part of today's fishing, possibly, is a jig. Now, this is a Metlock double hook jig, and it's on 65-pound braid again. It's on an extra heavy 7'3". It's more of a flipping stick than anything, and of course another 8-to-1 ratio solace reel. And you see all the reeds? I'm going to be flipping this jig. Well, I'm going to have a trailer on there too. I'm going to have a Yamamoto crawdad kind of thing, or I'm going to have maybe a Psycho Dad, or maybe a Cowboy, or maybe a Senkos on the back of that jig. And I'm going to be flipping it in all sorts of heavy weeds like that. And I'll basically, this isn't much of a weed deal, but I'm basically throwing the jig into stuff like that, and just into thick cover. Now, when a bass hits in there, I got to pull them all through those weeds. That's why I need this heavy line. And so I'm going to these reed points like all out there. You see reeds, and here's some reeds here. And I'm taking the jig and I'm flipping right in the reeds, right in there. That's where the fish are. They're hiding in that stuff. And they usually hit right away. So if there would have been a fish there, boom, I'd hit it, already bit it. But it's a challenge getting them out. So that's two really great combinations right there, the jig and the frog. Now, there's another lure that's also very prevalent that I might try today, and that is, being an overcast day like it is, it's hard to beat a topwater lure like this buzzbait. The buzzbait is really, really a cool lure, and it's the kind of lure that you cover a lot of water with. And see, I can get it on top. This is the Cavitron series that, this one's not, it's kind of messed up. Let me get the weeds off there. See the weed? Look at that. The weeds get on there like that. Won't spin. Okay, you get the weeds off, 100% weeds off, like that. And now watch this. This is so cool. This thing will buzz like crazy. And I'll throw it to the weeds, make a nice long cast with it. Woo! Way out there, come across those weeds. I don't know if there's any bass in this lake or not, or in that area, but that's the kind of thing, that's a long cast with the buzzbait. It's a topwater plug. It's an overcast day. That's the kind of deal that's going to really pay off. And that is also, on the back of that thing is a trailer. Now here's a big part of topwater fishing with a buzzbait, and that is have a trailer hook like that, because that trailer hook is really, really important. You catch half the fish on the trailer hook. One other lure. Okay, I got my real bread and butter lure, and that is my chatterbait. I got this one on a spinning rod. I got this chatterbait on a spinning rod. Let me just show you what it does. I get all tied up here. Okay, let me just show you what this does. Look at this chatterbait. Look at the water right here. You got to see it. Okay, come on close, and I'll show the lure. I don't want to really see the lure real quick. Look at that lure. Look at it kind of move around. It's really, really a cool, it vibrates. It's a vibrating jig. And it's a jig with a blade that vibrates really good. I'm throwing it on, in this case, 30-pound braid. I'm throwing it on a spin rod right now. And see, there's grass way out in that open water. There's actually grass beds out there. And I can kind of, I'm in the grass right there. I kind of keep it up. I'm in the grass. I'm in the grass. I'm in the grass. And so for this, I'm kind of throwing in kind of the open pockets and open areas. And I'm coming through the grass. I'm kind of letting it sink occasionally down until I hit some grass. And just keeping rod low. And when he hits, I'm going to set the hook right away. So that's really a big deal. Anyway, these chatterbaits are one of the best ways to catch bass here in these weedy lakes here in the Minnesota area. Anyway, that's my complement of lures that I've shown you today that I'm going to be doing. I'm doing a lot of film work, of course, a lot of how-to videos. That's kind of my format. And I'm also known for bass. There's walleye in here, there's pike in here, but when I film them, people don't realize that I know anything about pike or bass or walleye. They think I'm a bass fisher. Well, I am, but I also fish for other fish. But I just don't get credit for knowing a whole lot about it. But anyway, I enjoy catching every kind of fish. But today I'm going to really concentrate on the bass. Hey folks, hey, thanks for watching. I hope I brought you some good information on how you can catch more fish. So that's what's happening in my world, and we'll see you again soon, and thanks for watching.